Hi and welcome to a new video. Most of the footage that you see on this video was taken in Lefkas about 6 months after we bought the boat, and it still has to be the most filthiest and trickiest job that we've done to date. Amels have quite a lot of unique design features, and one of them is a very deep grey water bilge that sits in the keel, and in that bilge is a copper bonding strap. This copper bonding strap, connects to the keel bolts which attaches to the metal keel. I think primarily its job is to connect the metal bulb of the keel onto the rest of the bonding system in the boat, which in turn are connected to the anodes mounted on the rudder. You've got to stay with me on this one. I'm not going to go into too much detail because as far as I'm concerned it's a dark art that I don't fully understand. In the original design there's only two sacrificial anodes, two zincs on the rudder, as far as I'm aware, but one of the previous owners had connected anodes to the metal bulb itself at the end of the keel, and it had shown signs of wear, so I presume it was doing its job. Whether they'd added it after the copper bonding strap had broken, or whether it just adds an extra a sacrificial anode to the system, I'm not entirely sure. I know there's a lot of discussion about over-zinking and things like this. I'm no expert in bonding systems or zincs or sacrificial anodes and the sizes or anything like this. Video isn't anything to do with that. This video is just about reinstating Amel's original design of the copper bonding strap.
Okay, in an Amel, everything goes into one bilge, okay? It's all the grey water, apart from the poo. The poo doesn't. That goes into separate tanks, but all the grey water, so the stuff from the showers, the sink, so it all goes into one bilge. And it's pumped out by an automatic bilge pump, and also there's a manual bilge pump. Now, at the bottom of that bilge is one of the keel bolts, one of the bolts that holds the keel on, and attached to that bolt is the bonding strap, which is connected to everything on the boat that might corrode. So the bonding strap is supposed to stop everything corroding. Now, we thought that that might be broken, but before we found out, we had to pump everything out the bilge first.
This copper strap runs down the inside of a grey water bilge, which is also housing lots of pipes and things. You've got to move all of those pipes and pump out the grey water bilge just to be able to get to this knot, just to see it even. So first of all we had to remove the 4-inch pipe that houses the float switch, which is another unique Amel sort of quirky thing. And that all has to be disconnected and physically taken out and cleaned.
The pipe that pumps out all the stuff. I need to put this in elephant roll really, don't I? This is great fun. So there was a lot of gunk in there. And the other thing is trying to get into it, because it's deep. It's an awkward spot at the back of the engine bay, and you can't get your hand down there.
So the next job was to remove the automatic bilge pump hose and the manual bilge pump hose, get those out of the way, and then we can actually get to where we needed to be. It's pretty grim down there. There is slime that's collected up over the years, and the pipes don't get right to the bottom of that bilge. We don't know how long it had been since it had been last cleaned, but there was a layer of black sludge in the bottom which we needed to get out before we could get to the keel bolt.
And we've got various things from the Chinese shop, because that's always got useful things, and we've managed to get most of the gunk out. So Woody had to design a tool which could scrape it away. I suppose we've got to scrape it off.
That strap kind of gets in the way, doesn't it?
We found this in the bottom. It's a part of the socket sets. We found a new screwdriver. I think that might be useful. And cable ties and various other little bits. This might be like a specialised piece that only goes in an Amel. So this is an example of some of the gunk, and that bag is full of slime.
So finally we gave it a spray out with a hose pipe and literally just mopped it up.
And then once we've done all that, then we've got to detach the keel bolts and we've got to attach a new bonding strap.
So the next day we were back in business, and it was good to start the day with a nice clean bilge and try and get the kids involved as well. That was holding the bonding strap on in the bilge, which is why I got Rowan to tie a piece of string onto the screwdriver, because if I lost that down the bilge, that's 1.5 meters to get down. But that's what we were after. So the bonding strap is now undone. I just need to cut it off now and replace it with a new one. Ugh. Okay, so that's the old copper bonding strap, and as you can see, it's snapped off, so the other half is down there somewhere. So we still had the problem of removing the nut and retrieving the last piece of bonding strap that was still down there. But also I've noticed that the actual wires themselves probably need cutting off and stripping, because I can't imagine that there's much conductivity through there. Done it. I cut the old bonding strap off, and I'm just going to clean up the wires now. So although I managed to borrow a 32mm socket to take the nut off, I still didn't have anything long enough to reach down into the keel to take it out. There was a local builder's merchant nearby, and I had to make up a T-bar for less than €5 actually. So I've come to the local hardware store to get a bit of 14mm bar welded into a T. Because I can't find any copper strapping, I've got some 28mm copper pipe, which I'm hoping I'm going to beat down flat to make a strap, or cut lengthways, I haven't decided yet, and flatten it out. So we get on with that. There was still a bit of grinding to get the T-bar down to the right size to fit a socket.
Right, that's the bolt, and this instrument here is Woody's tool.
1, 2, 3. I don't think it's holding the keel in.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah.
It's just there, hold the strap in.
Okay.
Then I had to make up another tool using a wallpaper scraper and a broom handle to retrieve the knot. What's this little bugger?
Okay, you've got it. Don't knock it.
Got it. And there she is. You can see where the bonding strap's broken off there. And the nut. So the next task was to remake the bonding strap. And I did this using the copper pipe that I got at the builder's merchant and grinding it lengthways, and that way we got 2 straps for the price of 1. Next I cut a hole in the end of the strap so we could fit it over the keel bolt. So this is the new bonding strap, which is going to go down onto the keel bolt, and then we're going to reinstate the bonding wires at the top. And the nut had to be stuck into the socket so we could hold it as we put the T-bar down over the bolt. And finally we had to fix the rest of the bonding cables to the strap using proper connectors this time. And then fix the strap to the bulkhead using a more substantial screw. And finally, being British, we had a nice mug of tea and some cake on deck.
It's an automatic bilge pump. Okay, forget all of that, start again. And we've managed to get most of the gunk out, and now we've just got a splash. Someone's just gone swimming in the water. We just pumped out some.
So please give this video a thumbs up and comment below. For this video, I'd like to thank in particular my cordless tools, which were invaluable, and also the Amel Forum for their depth and breadth of knowledge in all things Amel. So thanks for watching. Thanks in particular to our patrons who keep us going. If you found it useful, give the video a thumbs up. If you want to buy me a coffee or beer, I'll be most grateful. You can do that by following the mothership links to the PayPal page or the Patreon page in the description below.